Okay guys, welcome back to late Friday night Banter Blitz. Now it is really late at night here. So, let's continue playing, yeah. And I want to say a few words about this game. So actually, in the beginning, Bishop d2, I don't believe it is a good idea, but probably just a playable normal move. The next actually was not that interesting. So after castling, let's say a3, bishop takes. I wanted to take this bishop back. I mean, I wanted to play knight e4. Maybe it's a guy like queen d3 or something. And after knight c3, let's say queen takes c3. So just maybe a bit simplified version of Nimzo Indian, but still quite promising for white. This, I think, is just a guy for black, so black feels good. Maybe here there was a possibility to make the things not that simple, just playing c5, let's say. Because after a3, this exchanges, I think I'm just completely fine, so no problems. Maybe it made sense again just to play bishop d2 here, but not bishop takes d5. After bishop takes d5, black is definitely better already having this simple play against isolated pawn, right? And my bishop is potentially much more active than bishop on c3, so white's dark squared bishop is the key to understanding this position, so it's really bad. And all this activity on the e5 square can be easily parried, and there is nothing dangerous for black at all. That's my point. Okay, anyway, I think that the sound and the picture are more or less fine now. If you will experience some problems, maybe it will make sense just to refresh the page, right? Because many people did that and actually improved the situation. So let us continue anyway. So now it's time to play, I think, one challenge after another, just a normal order of challenges. So I did everything to play the first 40-45 minutes to newcomers. Maybe, okay, one more game to a newcomer, and then, yeah, we will continue with the normal order of challenges. So Kurgan 021 premium user from Serbia, never played except one more game, and yeah, and then I will play just a normal order of challenges. Here we go. White to move. So only black games today, right? Not very inspiring situation, but well, what to do. Katinka says, I will have a problem if you do not take my challenge. Can you solve the issue in advance? Okay, Kurgan, come on. 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, abort. Abort, because, yeah, we have a lot of challenges, and I don't have a chance to wait for years, for ages. Okay, plate, plate, plate's enemy, plate, Saniel, plate, yeah, plate. I mean, I'm searching for one more newcomer, and then we come back to normal order. Shallangui plates, Battery Bob for Norway, yeah, didn't play, except. And I play with white, finally. e4, d6, d4, knight f6, f3, g6. So we'll have perk, I think. Bishop e3, bishop g7, knight c3. Quite a typical play. So queen d2, then some sort of attack. g4, h4, h5. Castles, queen d2. And e5 here immediately. Okay, so not sure how to react on that correctly. Probably d5 is the most ambitious move here. But let's try castling. Let's just try castling. Now I have a threat of taking on e5, so black will probably take on d4. e4, bishop d4, knight c6. Okay, and now let's say bishop simply goes away. Bishop to e3. So we have something like Philidor defense. Like Philidor with a g6 and probably a nice version for black. Because usually in the Philidor my knight is on, well, white's knight is on d4. Yep, and here it is on g1. But probably there is another route for this knight to be activated. Something like g5 square might be an interesting square to occupy in a couple of moves. Kuzma says it is Pirts. I know that Pirts is probably the authentic pronunciation, but I'm like, yeah, trying to pronounce it so that almost everybody understands what I'm talking about, right? So, in Ukrainian and Russian languages, we also have Pirts. Yes, Pirts even, not Perk. So, bishop e6, d5, is it a threat or not? Not that sure, but let's play g4. To have g5, at very least. a5 is probably a minor issue, so h4. h5. g5. Probably I won't have the possibility to open up files, but I will have a lot of space. That is also a result. So probably knight goes to d7. I don't think that h7 or e8 make any sense. So knight d7, then what? Then probably f4 with the idea of f5 at some point. Also d5 square becomes possible to occupy with my knight. Maybe it's even interesting to do that right now. Another interesting idea is to play knight h3, knight f4. A lot of interesting ways of playing in this position, but I will try the most natural way, maybe just to play f4, intending to play f5 at some point. Bishop g4. Okay, to exchange my light square bishop or not. On one hand, this bishop could be a good attacking piece in the future. On the other hand, if I manage to exchange this light square bishop, bishop g4, then it will be easier for me to play f5. So I think I can afford playing bishop e2 here. Oh, somebody suggested f4, f5. Whoa. No, I don't believe that f5 is a move. So just take en passant and g6 is completely weak. I don't know. It can't be good. So, well, the bishop is imprisoned on h8. Good news. Bad news that it's probably very hard for me to break through on the king side. But maybe it's not needed any longer. It's very hard to believe that with the bishop on h8 black can survive it, but honestly in Blitz everything is possible, so I have to be careful. So now the easiest way for me is probably to start exchanging pieces one by one. After that, I will just have an advantage in the quantity of pieces involved in the process. So let's take an e5. So now I have to exchange this knight somehow. Maybe with the help of knight d3 move or something. After which it will be easier to play, I think. Okay, queen d4. b5. Is it possible? Not sure. Yeah, maybe it's possible, why not? But now a4 looks interesting. Yeah, let's try it. Oh, c5. What is going on here? Queen takes c5. Can I do this? Strange thing? Not quite sure about the quality of that move, but... Well, okay, let's just keep the tension. So queen d3, yeah, now I can take on d6. That is much better, I think, than taking on c5 there. Okay. It should be over with such a bishop on h8. Kuzma asks, how was your last game in the tournament? Which tournament do you mean? Because I played 2 recently. The one classic tournament and another one is Blitz tournament, so I don't know. Which one do you mean? If you ask me, of course. Okay, so what was wrong with this? I think that actually somewhere here, so e4, bishop d4, knight here, bishop e3. Have a strong feeling that probably there should be something connected to d5, maybe even with the pawn sacrifice. Rook to e8. Interesting idea, just to exploit the pressure along the e-file somehow. Maybe immediate knight e7, knight b6, but this looks a bit cheesy. a6, b5, also interesting idea. Maybe even b5, sacrificing the pawn so that to have the b file open. Maybe b5 I would prefer as black here. So bishop b5, let's say, bishop to d7. Simply giving up a pawn, but then rook b8 and exerting pressure on b2, something like that. Because black played very slow chess. g4, h4, g5, f4, f5. Somebody suggested f5 here. Well, actually, maybe it was a good practical chance, but from a positional point of view, I can't believe it can be good. So g takes f6, knight takes f6, let's say. Just simply knight to f3 and then the knight g5. Maybe some tactical tricks only can help black to hold this position, but generally speaking, it's just very bad from a positional point of view. Okay. So if you mean the Volksopen, then yeah, in the last round I just drew my game and finished with 7 out of 9. But it was enough just to tie the third place, and since I had very bad ratios, I actually finished 8th in this tournament. Okay. Okay. Never mind. So let's go to Johann Wilhelm Möbius, accept. And another game with white pieces, finally. Come on. I was a bit tired of playing black today. C5. It might be a bit strange to hear, because the resultant video will be probably without that first part that failed in the sense of quality. So there I played only with black pieces. Anyway, okay, a6. Let's try h3 this time. e5, knight e2. h5. Here's the interesting move, knight g1, just moving the knight to g5. That's too much. So bishop g5 instead. Occupying d5 square. Good night, Blackmar. Next time, I think. So g6, bishop goes to c4. White does everything to support the knight on d5. That's the plan. And now, let's say bishop to b3. So now I will try to do what? I will try to occupy the d file to exert pressure against d6 pawn, because it looks a bit abandoned since the bishop is on h6. Knight e4. Rook to d1 or knight e3 immediately, or even f4. There are a lot of different ways, but let's try rook to d1 this time. It's a pure positional setup for white. So now I can play knight e3, then another knight to d5, something like that. f4 also looks normal. Knight e2 is an interesting try. What about knight e2 here? Yeah, let's try knight to e2. Just trying to exchange this knight on d4. Fuchsia, am I wrong, or is Johan getting a game in literally every Banter session on Chess24? Maybe, I don't know, about other Chess24 sessions. So pawn structure is a bit damaged on the queen side, of course. But still there is a problem with the d6 pawn, and potentially if, let's say, bishop takes d5, queen d5, I think potentially my knight should be better than that bishop. So it's a minor issue for me. Maybe it was better to play knight e2 immediately after knight d4. Without rook d1, in that case, after knight b3, I can take with the pawn a2, which is, of course, better than taking with the c pawn. Here, if I would have taken with the a pawn, then bishop d5 forces me to take with the pawn, because c2 is hanging, which is, of course, not good for me, because I close the whole file my pieces and so on. It's not good. Maybe I could have captured on b3 with the queen. I don't know why didn't I consider it at all. But okay, let's keep playing. b5. Knight b4. Attacks d6, attacks a6, but okay, I would prefer playing b4, fixing a6 pawn. And let's protect the b4 pawn now. Okay, what about knight e3 now? Just attacking d6. Is there a good defense? Yeah, probably just rook c6. Probably just... Oh, rook d4 even. I missed that, but I don't think it's a good one. Because after queen e2... Well, sooner or later, this rook will be like forced to take on d1, and this means black will just exchange his active rook, which is good for me. Okay. Duke Crusher says the stream is gone again. Strange. That is really strange today. Stream is fine here, says Donji. Fuchsia says not down, just hanging sometimes. It looks like I didn't even create a threat with the help of this knight e3 move. Because if I take on c4 now, let's imagine my move now, right? The bishop takes c4. Beating my rook on d3. But another idea behind knight e3 is that at some point I can play knight to c2. Yeah, that's what I wanted to try here. Attacking the rook and probably forcing it to take on d3, then I take with the queen and d6 is hanging. So finally exchanging that rook at least. Bishop c4 is also a try here, by the way. Interesting. Now, bishop c4 won't be good because of knight e4, damaging the pawn structure there. So. Yeah, black is fine here. Black is just fine here, that's for sure. I achieved nothing, so probably taking with the c-pawn was too much. After that, it's very hard to prove anything here with white. Yeah, but okay, I still can maneuver. It's 93, 95. desperation, I think, because I don't believe there is a serious compensation, but maybe some sort of compensation, because yeah. Bishops become a bit annoying now. But only for a couple of moves. Okay, so that was a good game, very decent one. C takes b3 was probably a bad move, a bad idea. So queen d3, knight goes to d4. So first of all, knight e2 immediately. Looks interesting here. So knight takes e2, queen takes e2. Everything is fine. Knight takes b3, queen takes b3, or a takes b3. That is a kind. So, yeah. After I played rook a to d1, rook to c8, knight to e2, knight b3. Of course, here I should have taken with a go. So c takes b3. C takes b3 was with a bad move. After that, of course, black was fine. But after queen b3, I think white still secures sort of an edge, but maybe I just overestimate my position, so b5 should be played here, and so on. That is how this variation is played. So white has only a tiny edge, and yeah, tries to squeeze something out of it. Okay, a very decent play. Very decent play. Okay, let us continue. So Duke Crusher was the next. Let's play Duke Crusher. E4. What Duke is going to play today? B6. My goodness. Okay, let us try to just surprise my opponent as well. He tried to surprise me. Why can't I do the same, right? So let's just develop the pieces. Maybe like in King's Indian Attack or something. Maybe like in Philidor, I don't know. Let's try different things. Now b5 square is weakened. Who cares about that, right? But now all of a sudden I just come back to normal central play, d4. So I avoided this sort of things like f5, which is, yeah, annoying. I prepared for d5 because now I will have a good version of French, something like that. Now b5 square is good. Yeah, I'm satisfied with my position. The only thing that I gave black a chance to play bishop a6. That's a bad thing. But maybe it's not a great problem. Oh, c5. No, I don't think it's good. With the knight already on d7, I don't think it's good. Maybe it was better for me to capture with the knight, maybe. But taking with the pawn also looks good. Also normal. This knight on d7 is very bad. The other thing is how to get use of it. Okay, let's start with just completing the development. It can't be wrong. right? So castles, then maybe bishop d2, or maybe bishop g5. Let's say bishop g5, h6, bishop d2. Just provoking this little weakness on the king side, which makes it harder for black to play f6 because weakness on g6 or something should be considered. Well, dreams, dreams, dreams. Okay. Can I save the bishop? No. So let's take on d3, on a6 and play queen d3, just occupying this square with the tempo. And then maybe knight g5, or maybe bishop g5. Knight g5, h6. Do I have anything there? I don't think so. Bishop g5, h6, the same story. Yeah, probably black is not that bad. Should be all right. After all. So, let's try some sort of attack. What's wrong with chat? Yes, looks like it's not my day today. Because the stream is very bad. Well, it happens. It happens. Sometimes. Well, well, well. It's going to be very hard to break through here. Kuzma says I'm not a French specialist. Okay. Maybe I'm not. Who cares? So now my queen goes to b5, and despite I am not a specialist in French, I think I have a clear advantage. Black's knight is a long-term bad piece. b6 is weakness. I have the access to. The king is also a long-term problem. So I do believe I will win. Okay, I can take on b6 now, right? Yep. b6 drops. And what to do now? Rook to d6 or rook to b5? Rook to b5 looks more natural. Okay, so opening stage was just a random sequence of moves. A random sequence sounds strange, but okay. D4 looks also natural, and here maybe, yeah, after D5 it makes sense for white to play bishop D3 instead, just to keep the tension, because after D takes C4, knight takes C4, it looks like a good version of I don't know, French tennis or something. Maybe bishop E4 also move. I wanted to play E5, but after E5 there is nothing, honestly. So after E5 it was possible for black to play bishop A6 immediately, and I think, well, black will be probably a bit passive, but the main problem, I mean, this bad light squared bishop, is solved, after which black can play normal chess. So yeah, but of course, seriously, yeah, after b6 it's better to occupy the center immediately. I just wanted to a bit surprise my opponent, and maybe it worked at some point. So Kramnik student says, you won the opening battle. Maybe that was that. Okay, so PHC 1, 2, 3, accept. The next is Kuzma, by the way. Are you online? Yes, you are. So you're welcome. Come on. E4, E5. What would it be today? Not today, but this time, because today I have already played that several times. So Italian, Spanish, Scotch. Come on, Spanish. Great choice. Just a great choice. Bishop A4, knight F6. Castles. Yes, bishop E7. Rook E1, B5. Bishop B3, D6. Classics are in the board. C3. No, H3 instead. Okay, it is also a tricky line. As far as I remember, black can try knight A5 here. And I will. Because after D6, I protected E5, which means, yes, I can move my knight now. And the bishop doesn't look like ensured in a sense of space, so I can grab it. But white instead achieves some edge in the center. That is, of course, an important thing. So now, as far as I remember, it's even possible to sacrifice a pawn on e5. I might be mistaken. I'm not sure. But let's try. Castles is too much, so I think bishop b7 counterattacking e4 might be okay. So now I have pair of bishops, but white has some pressure in the center. So white can try d5 if he wants, then even c4, something like that. But anyway, long term, my bishops should be very cool. Okay, d5, there is no longer a pressure against d5, so I can try prepare f5 gradually. Okay, let's start with castling. My bishop on b7 sucks, of course. But just imagine that I play f5, and after exchange of the e4 pawn, one of a sudden bishop on b7 makes sense. So probably I'll keep my bishop on b7 for some time, for a couple of moves. '92, okay, '97, preparing f5. Oh, g4, my goodness. No, it can't be. It can't be good. It weakens the king side too much. So, well, I should never forget that my bishop from b7 can every time come back to c8. But knight came to f5. Maybe I did something wrong. Let's try to exchange this stupid dark squared bishop. I'll be happy if it is possible on g5, let's say. So I'm not sure what was the reason of this pure quality today. Maybe, I don't even know, because the connection was the same. Maybe there is a problem with the, this streaming application. I have to refresh it maybe. There are a lot of reasons, of course. I'm not that great in understanding all the subtleties of this process. What I want to tell you guys that I will try to fix these problems before the next broadcast. Finally got to f4, good square. So bishop takes f4, knight takes f4. Looks quite good for black. Because look, there is a difference, a big difference. White's pawns are already on g4 and e4, so that f4 is kind of forever, yeah. And as for f5, I can play g6 at some point. So what to play here? What is better? Just to play g6? No, g6 right now drops h6. So king h7 looks good. Yeah, king h7 should be played. Protecting h6 and preparing g6. Issue seems to be with chess24, Andre. I'm not sure. Well, the only way to understand that is to see the final stream, because every stream is saved also locally on my computer, so I will see what is going on there. Also, it is probably possible to watch that on YouTube and to see what is going on to YouTube version of all that. I don't think that chess24 did anything wrong. Andre, you could check your upload speed. My upload speed is stable and it's good. It's usually around 5 megabits per second. So applaud speed is fine. I check it every time. That is not the issue, 100%. Bam! Queen h3 checkmate. Okay. Anyway, position was already better for black. So the only thing I did wrong, I think, is just this maneuver started with rook e8, so it was not cool. Probably it was better for me to start this immediate play connected with h5 and then f5 or something. H6 bishop g5 also interesting. c6 is another typical idea here after c4. Let's say I can take a d5, cd5, and then let's say knight c5 looks interesting with the idea of knight e3. So I can do a lot of different things like b4, then a5, or a5, a4 also looks interesting. Yeah, so bishop goes to c8, then g6, f5, a lot of different things. So I usually do these stupid mistakes in a position, in this sort of position. So usually when you have a lot of very, very promising continuations, and yeah, you play blitz, it's very hard to choose the right one quickly. That's why you can come up with just a bullshit like rook e8, knight g6, f8, g6. It was quite a typical maneuver, but not the best one for this sort of positions. And for white, my recommendation, do not play h3, so just start with the c3 move. It's a normal order of moves, and your bishop is safe here. Knight a5, bishop c2, and so on. So let us continue. Kuzma, let's play. e4, e6, d4, d5. So I'm not a specialist in French, right? So Kuzma will teach me now. There are a lot of different things. So b4, let's try this tricky move, bishop d2. I'm still not sure which is the best move against bishop a5. Bishop d2 should be just all right. Trying to exchange dark square bishop. Yep. Now I have the access to d6 square, which is very important thing. Also, I can just grab pawn on c5 now, I think. Which could be a good idea. Or could be not that great. But let's try. Why not? Come on. Why I did that? It was easier not to take on c5, right? Anyways, let's keep developing pieces. Oh, queen c3 was also a move. I played very strange chess today. I don't know why. Okay, b6. Why not just to take the c5 pawn? I have no idea. Now I'm just a pawn up, right? Bishop a6 is coming, but bishop a6, a4. So let's play b3, just protecting b pawn. And let's play with the extra pawn, come on. Why not? Still not sure what was the problem with just capturing c5. Creating this threat of 94. If queen c3, then at the very least something like b6. But maybe still 94 was a good idea. Don't understand. Okay, so a5, maybe a4 is coming. So let's prevent that immediately. Knight c5. e5 is no longer hanging, right? So I can just put my knight on d4. Very strange position, very strange game. f6, yeah. Okay, I have to take. Now e5 might be a threat. So I have a feeling that I have to prevent that somehow. Maybe queen e3. Yeah, let's try queen to e3. Looks like a good move. Just controlling dark squares better. And the main one, of course, is e5. Now I take with the pawn. Definitely. Castling should be just all right. Knight f5 is also an interesting move, but e takes f5 is possible, protecting the queen b6. Let's castle. At the very least, I will have something like rook c1, then to c7, something to c7, I'm not sure. Another good way to try to convert this is just to exchange queens at some point. Maybe even rooks, everything. So I have an extra pawn. Simple knight to f3 might be a move. Okay, where the knight goes to f4, maybe to support e5 simply. So what is going on if I play, say, rook to c1, probably e5, right? So maybe knight f3 isn't it the time for this move? So knight f3, or maybe knight f5. No, knight f5, I don't like it at all. So knight f3, queen e3, pawn takes. Yeah, this might be something. Let's try it. And my knight on b5 is somewhat hanging. Yep. Yeah, I could have played this better. It doesn't look funny anymore. Let's come back. Come on, I missed that c6 is protected. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I spoiled my position. Very bad. Very bad game. Queen c3 is even a threat. Yeah, I have to take with the knight. Knight f6, rook f6. Check. No, there is nothing. So I have to take with the knight. I was lucky, simply lucky. I was just lucky. Yeah, in the end, everything was fine. Yes, here knight c3, bishop b4. This is definitely a playable move. Bishop g2. Knight to b5 takes. That is all fine. So here I think maybe it's not necessary to take on c5. Maybe just knight f3, and then I have the access to d6. Maybe it's not that great advantage. I don't know. D takes c5, knight goes to d7. Here I missed the possibility to play queen c3. I don't know why didn't I play that. Again, maybe it's not that great, but at least it was much better than what I did. I played knight f3, which allowed black just to take on c5. Yep. So queen c3. And I'm not sure that black has a simple way to regain the pawn. Knight g6, okay, knight f3. So what? If queen e7, then b4, or even knight d6. Yeah, it's definitely not that simple. So should be all right. By the way, in the end, when some tactical things started, yeah. So here after knight a5, knight a4, knight e5, queen e3, absolutely correct. At first glance, it looks like knight f6 is possible, but then after rook f6, one of a sudden I can't take the queen because of knight e2 check and rook f1 checkmate. And some intermediate checks like rook a8 change nothing. So king f7, one more check, king g6. That's it. Black simply wins. That's the problem. That's why I took an e3 immediately with the knights, after which there were nothing, of course, for white. And only because of the time travel, I've managed to trick my opponent. Okay. Anyways, who's the next? Saniel, 26. Accept. e4. Come on. Oops. Sorry. No time. Carl Nering, accept. e4. Let's go. Rui Lopes takes. b6, yeah, also playable move. It only looks ugly, in fact. But bishop e7 is somewhat strange, so d6 was a move here. And I can just take it the pawn. That's the problem. And I'm a pawn up. Come on. Just extra minor piece already. Yeah. Again, very simple advice, just work in simple tactics. Carl. That's the way to avoid this sort of blunders. Because the game is actually over now. There is no chance to survive it. Yeah, absolutely lost. Okay, the next one is cuts. Accept. d4. Something closed. Nimmt Indian. Castles. Knight f3 immediately. So I tried a lot of different things here, I think. Let's try just simple. Rook e8. Preparing gradually e5 move. d6 is probably better. Because in some lines, in some variations, I guess it's possible to play d6, e5 even without rook e8 move or something. So without preparation, without this vast preparation. Bishop f4. A bit strange, but maybe also playable. Why strange? Because in many cases, bishop will be just attacked after e6, e5. So a natural position for this bishop in classic line of Nimzo Indian is g5, of course, 100%. Knight e7 and e5, or knight c6 and e5, or queen e7 and e5. A lot of different options. Let's do this with a knight from d7 this time. h3, well, e5. Looks like it is already prepared, so why not to play? And now, let's take d4 and knight e4. Looks very good, because almost inevitably I will damage the pawn structure. So I take this. And another knight goes to support my great guy on e4. I love this position. Bishop on h2 is, by the way, quite bad. I have this c7, d6 tandem. It's very hard to change the situation now with the pawn on c3. So in many cases, when the bishop is on h2 and the white has normal pawns, it's possible to play b4, c5 and activate that bishop, but with his doubled pawns, I think it's simply impossible. Okay. Let's grab this bishop. It was potentially quite an annoying one. Still blockading this c4 and c3. And now gradually, let us improve the position. So bishop e6 first, completing development, attack on c4. If knight takes e6, I will be happy because my knight will be much better than that bishop on h2. Knight takes e6. Yes, that is exactly what I was talking about. It's possible to take with the pawn, by the way, and then to play e5. It's also possible just to take with the rook. I would prefer taking with the pawn this time. e4. Let us stop the pawn on e4. So if f4, oh, come on, this drops e4. No, it's a trap. Queen d5 check. Queen d5 check is planned. Sneaky. Okay, let's go away. f3. Now I have to attack c4 somehow. So I have to maneuver my queen, I guess. To a4 maybe. Maybe to e6. Maybe to f7 simply. And then we will see. So now a4 looks good. Yeah, a4 looks like very natural. But then rook b4, right? Just maybe to start with a5, I don't know. Rook on e8 also doesn't look good. So rook e6 is a possibility to improve that. Or maybe rook f8 and another rook to e8. Yeah, let's try to do this. So rook f8. Just for a while, improving my rooks a bit. Slowly. So b6. Because I see my opponent wants to play bishop f2, so I've prepared this knight e6 move. b6 was important because b7 was hanging. And also c5 is controlled more. So now what? Rook f7. Another rook to f8. Looks natural. Let's try it. It wasn't necessary, but looks also playable and possible. So at some point I can even come up with sort of minority attack on the king side. What is good about this position is good just long term. So I'm not in a hurry. I can't change anything seriously. So just gradually improve my position. That's it. Okay. That was hanging. Let's protect it. And now maybe h5, g4. Yeah, let's try it. Again, I'm not in a hurry, so I will just prepare everything carefully. g4. It's time. It's time to create weaknesses. It's lost absolutely for white. bishop h6, which is blunder in that. So let's start with the rook h8 check. And queen h7 looks even better than taking on g4, right? Because there is a threat of a checkmate, and I can't see how I can prevent it. Yeah, it's much better than taking any of his pawns. Checkmate next move. Unless white starts doing something like bishop h6. Yeah, it was interesting. In my opinion, white mixed up the things already in the opening, playing bishop to f4. I don't like the idea of playing bishop f4. Instead, it was interesting to put it on g5. Another interesting possibility is to play e4 immediately here, because as you can see, I'm not in time to meet it with the e5. It's okay if I take on c3, you just take with the pawn, not a problem. So just grab the space. So there are a lot of different options for it, but not bishop f4, because after bishop f4, I'm definitely doing very, very good. As you can see, I just, solve all my problems in opening quickly, and as we can see, I also managed to damage your pawn structure, which is not good, right? Just take here, knight c5. Here I'm already better, yeah. The rest is just a conversion. Maybe I was not that great in that conversion process, but I didn't spoil my position, so it was long term very, very nice. And yeah, I just managed to break through in the end. Okay. Trollfjord Paddler, 5 minutes. Come on. This one and probably one more. It will be enough for today. Already midnight in Germany. And I have to go to and support my team tomorrow. Already today, actually. In Hamburg, we'll play the cup. I don't know which cup, but okay. So the same line. So I play d6. Bishop d2. Let's try c5. I don't know if it is good or bad, but it could be not that bad. D takes c5, and d takes c5. What about just playing knight c6, knight d4? Does it make sense? I think it looks just normal, right? So I've managed to control this d4 square. Why not to occupy it with the knight? Looks fine for black. So let's start with taking on d2. Let's take on e4. Why not? And now f5, e5. We may end up in a position with the bishop on d5, and then white plays e3, undermining my d4 pawn. Might be not that great. So what is better? To play rook b8, then b6. This looks too slow. e5 maybe. Also gives white square in d5. What should be the priority here? Of course, the development, but I'm not sure if I can play this like rook b8, b6, because rook b8 castles b6, rook d1 already, maybe even rook d1 right now. So rook b8, rook d8, rook d1, attacking d4. If I play e5 and e3 already, it looks at least very annoying. Let's start with the e5. Let's see. Maybe I will have a chance to develop my bishop with the tempo, like bishop h3 now. Yes. And now I am in time to go away from this d file to protect b7 maybe. Yeah, queen c7. And then rook to d8. Yeah, more or less fine. More or less fine. So at least I prevented the worst. With a natural idea of, yeah, c5. But after c5, at very least, there won't be the problem with bishop d5 move anymore. So maybe I'm not against. Now it would be nice to play something like f5, f4, I guess. I think I just have to. A7 is hanging. So again, pretty much forced. Will I have a counterplay there or not? Not sure. White has very strong bishop on d5. At least I have to try. Nah, I don't like my position. Honestly, I don't like it. Looks... I thought that queen c5 was, yeah, the move that stops me from any sort of counterplay. Now I still have some chances. Looks absolutely anti-positional. But maybe there are some tricks. I think I want some material. Some intermediate checks, right? But I don't have enough time. Probably not correct. Tricks are all around. One more trick. Ooh. One more. Please, let it work. Yeah, it worked. But I lost in time. Position was, by the way, absolutely winning already. But okay. Okay. My goodness. Yeah, that was a bad game. So it started fine, but then I started missing the point. So I had a feeling that, yeah, here instead of queen d3, it was better just to play queen c5. Looks like very strong move. If I take on c5, it'll be c5. So no attack anymore. This bishop is still very strong. b7 is like, yeah, the pawn that should drop. So at very least white will have the passed pawn. Yeah, that's the idea. Okay, so instead white played queen d3, which is also good. But then I started tricking. So b5, interesting idea. But probably it was absolutely wrong. I mean, c takes b5 was possible. I'm not quite sure, but looks like it was just a bluff. I don't know, queen d6, let's say rook c5. Yeah, rook c5, everything is protected. Bishop e6, rook d1. If I take on g3, you can take with the queen, I think. Something like that. Not completely sure it was correct from a tactical point of view. After queen b3, however, yeah, I had some threats, as we can see. So I activated my pieces, and here I just have extra material. And well, the only problem was, of course, the time. Yeah, so I simply had no time. But I managed to find this trick. So this one, and then failed. So after bishop d5, of course, is necessary to take on b5, I guess. But taking on b5 might be also not that simple. So let's say it takes here. White also has tricks, by the way. Yeah, and if I take the rook h5 check, king here, bishop e4 check, and takes on b5 with a winning position for white already. So yeah, rook b5 wasn't possible. What did I do? I played rook c3, probably waste of time. Rook b4, yeah, rook b4 was much better. Creating a threat of just discard attack. After king goes here, just go away with the bishop somewhere. But of course, yeah, position should be drawn. Played rook c3, b6, g5. So what was my idea against rook takes g5? I thought of something like that. But it can be good. I think here it's just possible to take on g4. Rook f1 to take on h5. Can go somewhere. And b7. So at very least white has a draw. Yeah, but on this short time, black easily can spoil the position and lose it. So I have no idea how to evaluate this game. Was fine, was interesting. Thanks a lot for this game. So let us see. A lot of possibilities. I would prefer Klinka from United Kingdom. We played only once before, so let's do it. Just to finish today's show, that was probably not good because of the quality of the stream. That was the one problem, and I was pretty much distracted. By this quality, and actually missed the quality of my games, of my explanations. Probably, I don't know. D6, D4, E5 immediately. I think that should be good. Again, I'm not quite sure. But as far as I remember, this is considered to be a bit better for white. So king is going to c7, right? That's the point. Let's keep developing pieces. After occupying h6, actually this knight has no squares except for g4. So I think it's a good idea just to prevent knight to g4. A4 or bishop d2 preparing castling, I don't know which should be better. But let's play bishop d2. Castles. Black will definitely have some problems with completing development here because look, the knight is pinned to e5 square. Knight h6 is kind of misplaced, absolutely. I'm not quite sure how black is going to complete the development. Let's say if I put my bishop on e6, I'll even have a chance to win the pawn. The other question, do I need that pawn? It's better for me to keep the material balance unchanged, but to see how black struggles to complete the development. Yeah, so I will put my bishop on b3. Let us say a4, simply. Not a bad regrouping, I think. So g7 should be a problem. So let's say if I play knight h5 now, g6, right? Maybe f5 first. Looks not that promising. F takes c5, f takes e5, knight h5. Yeah, this looks like winning something. Let us try that. But f takes c5, knight takes e5, obviously. Probably I missed something already, so let's play. For advantage in space at very least. Okay, if I play g4, then bishop e2. So let's start with rook e1 I wanted to play, but bishop f2 there. My goodness, what do I do today, huh? Just play very bad. How to improve that? Not quite sure at all. Again, looks like I've just lost the point. Okay, let's sacrifice some material. Because, yeah, becomes a bit annoying. Oh, my opponent doesn't play that. He plays even better, I mean. This forces my knight to g3 where bishop f2 will be played. Yes, absolute collapse. Okay. What can I do? Absolutely lost now. I am very, very bad. I think I have no chances, absolutely. So, material down, and yeah, no time at all. I don't know. Maybe some mistakes will happen. But even with that mistakes, no time. Just no time. Yeah, I regained the exchange, but come on. Still no time. Still no time. Still no time. I have some chances, of course, but come on. A few checks and I'm lost on time again. Oh, queen. Maybe there will be a checkmate, I don't know. Yeah, lost in time. Okay, I deserved this loss, of course, because I played like a stupid guy during all the game. Okay, so everything was fine until the very end, of course, for my opponent when he started just, blundering a lot of things. Maybe trying to flag me, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, sorry for a poor quality, not a pure quality. Pure would have been nice, right? Just a poor quality of stream today. Sorry for this distractions, restreaming, and so on. Sorry for probably bad quality of explanations, because I was also a bit upset with this things. I will try to refresh, update actually the streaming soft, and probably the problem will go until the next broadcast. Anyways, everybody's welcome to the next episode of Training Tuesday. And, well, if you're not a premium member, then see you next Friday during late Friday night Banter Blitz. Thanks a lot for your attention. See you. Bye-bye.